Okay, and well, boys, welcome back to Forza Horizon 4, and welcome back to my bloody garage. Welcome, sit down. This is the behind-the-scenes look at Zanch's cars. Now, what is my favourite cars in Forza Horizon 4? I get this question asked quite a lot, so without further ado, let's break down my garage, and I'm going to show you what cars I love and what cars I bloody hate. So without further ado, let's begin, and we ain't beginning on bloody Fiat. Yeah, these, but anyway, moving on. Starting us off with the beautiful Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. Yeah, I said that right, I'm getting good at this. Anyway, this deep blue sounding, gorgeous, beautiful car. I like this car a lot. I think it's very slept on. I love the dials, I like the interior. It's a great place to be, I feel like. It sounds amazing, it handles... the handling's decent on it, but I think because there's so much power, and when it's all-wheel drive, it's not used to being all-wheel drive, and it seems to have a little bit of understeer. So because of that, it's up there, but it's not at number one. But because this thing sounds amazing, and it's a beautiful car to look at in real life, and also in the game, it definitely deserves a spot on number one list, starting us off at Alfa Romeo. If you don't have one of these, boys, go and get one. Beautiful car to drive, the cockpit is beautiful, and it sounds amazing. Now, next up, and bringing us to the Green Demon, it's the 2014 Alfa Romeo 4C. Now, the reason why this is green is because I use it in my infected videos. It's a great chase car. This thing, low centre of gravity, you know, it's mid-engined, so the weight displacement's very, very nice. It handles well, it performs great, it sounds nice. The interior is a little bit dull, I think so, in my personal opinion. I think the interior needs a little bit of a modern update, but in this game, it's one of the best handling cars. Fact, it performs well, but personally, I feel like the Alfa Romeo 4C is a little bit just underpowered. It doesn't perform very well. Now, it does have, how much horsepower does it have? 617 horsepower. If this thing had like 900, 1100, then again, granted, it could be a bit too uncontrollable, but I just feel like in the higher gears, it doesn't pull as well as its rivals. So because of that, it's up there, but it's not one of my favourites, but I do enjoy driving it because it's mid-engined and it handles very nice. Now, bringing us to the best handling car on Forza Horizon 4. Yes, the number one handling car. No, it's not the Senna, it's this. The Apollo IE, the 2018 bloody demon. This thing, with its 1500 horsepower, 1523 horses, and the way it is glued to the road at top speeds, it's a phenomenal machine to drive. On this game, in real life, you know, it's a $6 million car, it is gorgeous, but on this game, boys, it is the best handling car. It sticks to the road like glue, a top speed of 252 miles an hour, and when you're planting it around the corner, going 240, with that massive wing, keeping you glued to the road, there's not more you can really say about this car. It's the best handling car on the game. I've destroyed lap times in this. People that have done my own Zanchh circuit on this car have destroyed my lap times. Everybody that I've spoke to has said this is the best handling car, and I believe it is the best handling car. And for that reason, the Apollo IE has a very special place in my heart. Go get one if you don't have one, it handles amazing. Oh, baby, are we going there? Are we going there, boys, eh? Audi. Now, this is my domain. This is my territory now. Drop a gear. Disappear cars. Now, kickstarting us off in my beautiful domain of Audis has to be the low-key OG, the 2003 Audi Rs6, the 4-door. This thing is an 875 horsepower, 3,000 pound demon. I've smoked a lot of people in this car. This is a low-key sleeper. You can drop a gear, disappear in this thing. My only negative thing is it's a little bit heavy, so the rear is a little bit hard to control, especially when you got to downshift around the corner. It does like to kick out a bit, but this thing, it does handle quite well, I can't lie. Round town corners, it does feel a little bit sluggish, but when you get it onto an open motorway or open hills in this game, in the mountains, this thing pulls. And this list would not be complete without a mention of the low-key transporter car. If you know, you know. Shout out Jason Statham. The 2003 Audi RS6 is a low-key demon and has to make an appearance. Oh, baby, next up on the Audi list, again, we're going for the 2009 Audi RS6. Now, I love and hate this car on this game. Let's start with the bad news. Now, the bad news is on this game, the 2009 Audi RS6, the gears are a little bit too high. It revs to 8,000, so it takes a while, especially in third gear, to get to fourth gear. And when you're in fourth gear, it doesn't really pull, and I'm not really a fan of it. But I do do like the rear brake lights, they stand out quite a lot. The interior is a nice place to be, you know, it's got Alcantara stitching, white stitching on the top, with a very nice centre console, very in your face, very striking. Now performance wise, again, it's very similar to the 2003 Audi Rs6, so it's very heavy, coming in at £3,300, but then again, I do like the brake lights when you tap them, they are very pretty. It does handle like a boat, and I would most definitely probably take the 2003 Rs6 over this one, simply because third to fourth gear is terrible, and it revs too high, and it's a little bit underpowered. Even though it has 977 horses, it doesn't seem to efficiently put them down, and that thing, well, it pegs it down a few notches on my list. But anyway, it's still a joy to drive, and it's still a timeless classic, so it has to be mentioned. Oh my son, we're getting up there now, bringing us to one of my favourite cars in real life. The 2013 RS7, the Audi RS7. This thing is straight out of hell itself. Dominant, beautiful, road dominant, striking. You know, when it's all in black, it looks like an absolute demon, and I would most definitely have one in real life. I love the way the rear lights are shaped. It looks like a monster staring at you. The adaptive wing that raises when you go above 70 miles an hour. It's a marvellous piece of engineering in real life, and of course on the game. Handles well, and I love the dials. I love the interior, the swooping dials, the red stitching, the red buttons at night. And it performs well, boys. Coming in at 859 horses, 762 foot-pounds of torque, an absolute demon. A demon in Forza, especially around city centres. You can drop a gear, disappear, if you know what I mean. And it's a fun car to drive, and it has to be on this list. The beautiful Audi RS7 is one of my favourite cars in the bloody world. Okay, we're getting up there now, boys. We are getting up there now. Now, when I jumped into this car today to try this Audi R8 out, the 2013 absolute OG demon, the fat, beautiful monster, the Audi R8 V10 Plus, I was pleasantly surprised on how well this thing performed. This thing is, it's one of the funnest cars I've driven on this game, and I realised that today. It performs well. It fucking shifts. Coming in at 898 horses, boys. This thing pulls and pulls and pulls. Third to fifth gear, you're gone. Put your foot down, you're gone. And it handles excellent. Lock it down to third gear, not a problem. Second, third, fourth, beautiful car, handles well. And it's a timeless classic. You know, me and Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., shout out my guy. He loves these. I love these. How can you hate the Audi R8 V10 Plus? It's one of my favourite cars in the game. So, of course, it's on this list. Now, last and most definitely not least on the Audi list today, we've got the beautiful, upgraded son of the V10 Plus 2013 R8 to the R8 V10 Plus, the 2016 model. Everything that this R8 did, this does it better. Better body, better looking, more horsepower. It's a fucking demon. The interior's gorgeous. The dials are amazing. The rear lights are beautiful. And it handles very, very well. Now, low centre of gravity, high horsepower, high gear range ratio, revving to 10,000 RPM. Now, this thing has 950 horses, so it can rev to that rev range easily and quickly, unlike the 2009 Audi RS6 that took for a millennia to change to fourth gear. Bringing us to Bentley. Now, I've got one favourite Bentley in the game, and it's not the Bentayga, because that thing handles like a bag of shit, but it's this. The Continental SS. Now, I love and hate this car. I love the way it looks. I love how elegant it is. I love the colour I've got it in, the rose gold, whatever you want to call it. The interior is phenomenal. The Bentley clock, the Bentley dials, everything about it. Now, the thing that I hate about the Bentleys are this. Even with the weight reduction, this thing is £3,865. So what that means is, when I try to lock it into a gear and keep the revs as high as I can, let's say I go around a gear in third gear, I'll drop it down to second. Won't make a difference. This thing will still slide out, smash into a wall. Even though the gears will be locked, the wheels will be spinning. It's so fucking heavy. This is the thing that lets it down. It just slides. It slides and slides and slides. Now, the top speed's pretty good, coming in at 1,084 horsepower. This thing will easily do 236 miles an hour on the game. Real life, it's probably like 205 miles an hour, somewhere around about that. But, has to be on this list. It's a great cruising car. It's okay to drive. It doesn't handle very well because it's too fucking heavy. But apart from that, the interior is gorgeous, and it's a very nice cruising car. But don't be expecting to drop a gear, disappear in it, because it's a little bit sluggish. Okay, we're going there. We are going there. Let's speak about OG UK police cars. Let's speak about the first ever V10 M5 Screamer. Let's speak about the 2009 BMW M5. Now, this thing, stylistically, it's gorgeous. It is a beautiful car to look at. Handling-wise, it's not all there, but the engine sound, you wouldn't do. If you ever engine swap this in this game, you've committed a grave sin, and you need to be. You need to say sorry to the Forza gods. We will never swap the V10 out of this. It sounds amazing. Now, the things that I love about this car in this game are the dials. I really like these dials. I love the sweeping dials. I like how in the face the BMW dials are. The white accents really contribute them very well. Now, I've all-wheel drive my M5, so it handles a little bit better, but it still handles like a boat. But in real life, I would have one of these, and I like them in the game. They are very fun to drive, and it's an OG car. If you have one, you know what I'm talking about. Next up on this list, and forget the 2009 M5, let's speak about the 2012 Demon. Another OG UK police car. An absolute beautiful looking M5. Absolutely gorgeous. Real life, and also the game. Now, what do I love about this car? I love how elegant it is. I love how clean it is. I love the dials. I like the interior. It's a very nice place to be. The yellow accents, the white accents, the blue accents, the black trim looks phenomenal. Now, handling-wise, again, like the other M5, it's a little bit of a boat, so it doesn't handle great. But if you can control that boat, manage your power well, drop a gear when you need to, you can lock the gear in, and you can kind of rag it around the corner. The only thing that lets it down is, personally, I don't like the gear sounds in this game. When you change gear in this car, it sounds like a no, it doesn't sound like that. It don't sound great. This thing doesn't have DSG. What am I doing DSG noises for? The gear changes in the Beamers do not sound good on this game. The only car that sounds great gear changing has to be a Lamborghini or the AMG, and trust me, AMGs will coming up soon. But anyway, back to the M5. I feel it's underpowered at 831 horsepower, 3,257 pounds, so it's a little bit of a boat. Anyway, if this thing had 1,100 horsepower, if we could boot it up to there, it might be a better car, because that 4th to 5th gear pull is a little bit slow, and 5th to 6th is even slower. But this car has a special place in my heart in real life, so it's definitely on my list. Oh my son, bringing us to one of the best handling Beamers here, baby. Let's speak about the well-planted, well-weight distributed, high horsepower, yellow M4 Coupe. An absolute pleasure to drive in the game, and I've also driven one in real life. A lot of fun, my son. Trust me on that. Now, in the game, the interior is an absolute astonishing place to be. The way you can see the radio, the steering wheel, the red accents at night, the red lights that turn on, the dials are gorgeous. This thing handles way better than the M5 and the 2009 M5. It's an absolute demon. Coming in at 737 horsepower seems to be the exact sweet spot for this car. 646 foot-pounds of torque, so we are a little bit underpowered on the torque. 2,800 pounds is a fucking heavy thing. It's nearly 3,000 pounds, but for some reason, this thing, because it's so box-like, and is it mid-engined? No, it's front-engined. So, for some reason, the wizards at BMW have, I don't know, done their wizardry, and it handles very nice. It handles very, very nice. Glued to the road. 6th gear, 200 miles an hour. Effortless. Just gliding. There's no fear of coming off the road. Downshifts in a hair. A beautiful car to drive, and I can't stress this enough. If you have one, or will drive it, go have some fucking fun, because this thing is an absolute monster. Oh, baby, now it's time for DLC, my son. Let's speak about the 2018 first ever all-wheel drive BMW M5. Now, they've done this car dirty in this game, I believe, anyway. My opinion. Personally, I think, my opinion is, this thing handles like a piece of paper on corners. It feels too light. Now, I don't know why it does, because it's 3,397 pounds, which is heavier than the BMW M5 at 3,257. But for some reason, the 2018 DLC M5 feels like a piece of paper round a corner. Now, some of you aren't going to agree, some of you are going to agree. But the good things about this car is the centre console. The centre console is fucking amazing. The dials are gorgeous. The swooping accents, beautiful. The red paddle shifts on the steering wheel, beautiful. I love to drive it. It's a fun car to drive. I just don't think it handles the way it does it in real life, which lets it down in this game. Now, the good thing, another good thing about this car, when you're racing in this thing, it only revs to 6,000 gears, 6,000 RPM. So every time you change gear, you're also nearly on the verge of changing up, which is a good thing and a bad thing, so it's not really a great drift car, but it's a great racing car. The only negative thing, again, back to my original point, I just feel, it feels too light on the game. I don't know whether the car's too high or what, it just feels like a piece of paper for me. But I love it because it's the first ever all-wheel drive M5 and I want one in real life. Okay, and now bringing us to Chevy, baby. Now there's a few here that I like, but the notable two that I think are the best cars in this category, in the Chevy category, for me, has to be this, the 1970 SS Supersport Barrett Edition. Now, what makes this car stand out? What makes this car stand out, boys? 805 horsepower, 781 foot-pounds of torque, and also the dials at night. Blue and red. I mean, it's a gorgeous place to sit in. It's a gorgeous car to... It sounds gorgeous, and it's also a very nice car to cruise in. 6 gear, relax, and also, for some reason, this thing seems to be a very, very nice drift car. I don't know why. 3rd gear, effortless drifts. Effortless! It's not even a drift tune on it, but it drifts very well. And for that reason, it's one of the funnest Chevys to drive. You know, it can perform, it can drop a gear and disappear, so for that, it gets my salute, and also... It's gorgeous. It sounds amazing. How can you hate this car? The dials are gorgeous. There's not really much to say. It's a fucking machine. If you don't have one, boys, get the DLC and experience it. Nice car to drive. Now, last but not least on the Chevy list, this has to go to another DLC car, baby. The Corvette ZR1, the 2019 Chevy. Now, I don't know what it is about this car, but I have a very special connection with it. I don't know why, but it brings a smile to my face every time I drive it. I don't know whether it's the beautiful, you know, violet purple I've got it in. I don't know whether it's the fucking menacing 5 exhausts. I don't know whether it's the spoiler, the rear lights. But something about this car, it just screams monster. And I love it. This thing, every time you put your foot down, it's a fun car to drive. It sounds great. It handles well. Again, it feels a little bit underpowered. Even though it's 1,111 horsepower, it does feel a little bit underpowered. But... it's one of my favourite cars. I love it. I like driving it. I love the stance of it. I love the profile. I love the 5 exhausts. I love what Corvette are doing. I love the spoiler. I love how wide it is. The front bumpers. Everything about this car. And surprisingly, it's a very good handling car at that. You know, drop a gear, disappear, down to 4th, down to 3rd, at a flick of an eye. And because of that, the ZR1, with its 989 foot-pounds of torque, is on this list. Oh, and bringing us to Ferrari, my son. Now, there's a few here, boys. There's a few. But my notable favourites has to be, and let's start with the old school, my boy. We're starting with the 430 Scud. Yep, the 430 Scud. Now, the low-key, well, the 458's dad. 2007 430 Scud rear. Now, the rear bumper, the rear profile on this car is so fucking nice. The 2 exhausts, the rear lights, beautiful. The Alcantara silver with the red paint, gorgeous. Now, this thing, with its 580 horsepower, 381 foot-pounds of torque, you know, it's not up there for speed. But because it's so low horsepower... it's just a very fun Ferrari to drive, and I've had a lot of fun throwing this thing around the corner, and I would most definitely have one in real life. I've always wanted one. I used to have one on my fucking wall, the 430 Scud, before the 458 came out and took away this, but for some reason... I think the 430 Scud, when it was made available in 2007, was so ahead of its time, and the 458 came out and shat on it. But the 430 Scuderia still holds a very special place in my heart, on the game, and also in real life. And it sounds amazing. There's something about that rear bumper profile is just so... it's so gorgeous. It's such a car guy car, the 430 Scud. If you don't like the 430 Scud, well... I don't even know, mate. Moving on. If we're going to speak about Ferraris, boys, we're going to speak about Ferraris. I need to tell you something. I need you to come closer. Come closer, my son. We're going to speak about something. We're going to speak about the 458 Speciale. My 458 Speciale. Not the 458 Italia, not the 2009 458, the 2013 Speciale 458. Now, there's a reason, boys. There's a reason why mine has a love heart next to its name. Do you know why that is? I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it. I'm going to fucking say it. This is one of the best handling cars on Forza Horizon 4, fact. Only when you put an all-wheel drive conversion on it. max horsepower, no tune, your own tune, whatever that fucking wants to be, 821 horsepower, all-wheel drive the motherfucker, and I promise you, it's an absolute demon. The way this thing can effortlessly just eat up corners. You're in second gear, you're ragging around the corner, the tail's not kicking out, it's dipping in, it's turning hard. It's an absolute joy to drive, and I've smoked so many fucking cars on this game, in this car, no cap, fact. It's an absolute demon, and if you don't have one, boys, and why I'm so passionate about it is because not a lot of people know about this car, and they're surprised when I pull it out and I smoke their shit in this. It's a fucking demon. Boys, if you don't have one, please go and get one. It's a fun car to drive, it's a great piece of engineering, and it's one of my favourite cars in real life. The timeless, ever beautiful 458 Speciale. Well, moving on to Ford Motorsport. And starting with one of my favourite Fords, and yes, sometimes Zanchh does like to go off-road. Starting us with the best off-road car, well, rally car on this list, my opinion, would have to be the Ford RS200 Evolution. Now, this thing is a demon on the bloody dirt. Drop it down to second, down to up to third, to fourth, down to third. This thing just rags round the corner effortlessly. It grips and grips and grips, even on dirt. Sounds amazing. It's high powered at 743 horsepower, 2,309 foot-pounds, so it's on the lighter side, 530 foot-pounds of torque, so it equals out very, very nicely. Now, this thing that's low centre of gravity, all-wheel drive conversion, 700 horsepower, boys. It's an absolute rally demon, very fun to drive. And I would say the best rally car on this list. It's effortless on dirt. Very surprising at that as well. Now, staying in the Ford category, a car that is bloody slept on. If you're a chav like me in the UK, and my UK people will know what that means. Anyway, growing up, we would all idolise when we saw one of these in the Asda supermarket or Tesco, anywhere driving around. A Ford Focus RS, the 2009 big boy Ford Focus RS. Now, this is arguably, on the game, one of the best sounding cars if you don't know it. It's a slept-on car, it's a fun car to drive, 540 horsepower, 505 foot-pounds of torque, so it is kind of rivaling Lamborghini terms if it's a stock Huracan, but then again, who drives a stock Huracan? Not many people. Now, back to the Ford. Sounds amazing. The interior is very, very clean. I love the little turbo gauge, and I've also wanted one of these since I was a little kid. Now, 2009, I would have been 10 years old, so when I saw one of these popping and banging in orange or lime green, whatever the person had it in, they were very nice, very pretty, and I've always wanted one. Now, they are on the heavy side at 2,695 pounds, so it is a little bit of a boat with a top speed of 180 miles an hour in the game, so don't be expecting any championship wins. But when it comes to dropping a gear and disappearing in the city centre, boys, the Ford Focus RS is most definitely up there. Are we going there today, boys? Are we going there? Okay, next up, we're going to speak about Lamborghini, and this would not be any more simpler. A stock Aventador Lp 700-4 is an absolute pleasure to drive on the game. Not every Lamborghini needs to be 1,500 horsepower, V12 supercharged, fucking twin turbocharged out of your skull. Sometimes it's nice just to have that natural aspiration, 700 horsepower, and just have fun. Enjoy the car, enjoy the sound. 150 miles an hour in a 700 horsepower car feels like you're doing 220. The joy of speed from such a low number that I feel in the Aventador, because it is stock, is enormous. Sometimes having a stock car will handle 10 times better than having a 1,500 horsepower Supra. There's a different element to it, boys, and this list would not be complete without the beautiful, timeless Aventador Lp 700-4, a car that I have dreamt of. I have dreamt of owning this fucking car in real life. Sunrise Orange or Rosso Mars Red, whichever one I will have in the future, one of them two. But the interior, gorgeous. The handling, amazing. The sound, it's perfect. And how can you hate an Aventador? It's a car guy's dream. Again, another poster that I used to have on my wall is the beautiful Aventador. How can you hate Aventador? Now, this thing came out in 2012, which is a long time ago. I would have been 13 years old. So when I was 13, I was drooling over this thing, and I still am. And I absolutely adore the Aventador. And if I had one in real life, I wouldn't upgrade it. I wouldn't touch it. 700 horsepower, that is enough. Trust me on that. Moving on, a salute to the Aventador. Let's take an Audi R8, okay? 2016 Audi R8. Let's make it smaller. Let's make it more nimble. Let's make it faster. This is the overwhelming result of that. The Huracan Performante is an absolute pocket rocket demon. The thing is so elegant, so striking. It's been forged out of the best metal on Earth. Is it even from Earth? I don't know, because those carbon paddle shifts and the Alcantara carbon with the orange stitching, with that heads-up display, this is arguably one of the best cars they ever added to Forza Horizon 4, and I'm so glad they took their time adding the Hurricane P, because it's fucking gorgeous. It's a beautiful car, V10 masterpiece. How can you hate this? And it's one of my favourite cars to drive. Very nimble, great at doing 360s, and also a very nice drop a gear disappear car. It gets up the rev ranges very, very nice, very smooth, very elegant. I love it. I think it's gorgeous, and I would most definitely have one in real life. So that's why it's here. Here's to McLaren, my son. Now, the few honourable mentions. I do like the 720S Spider, not the Coupe. The Coupe's okay, but the Spider looks prettier. The 570S is a good car. The 12C's a little bit slow, but it does handle quite well. F1, not really a fan of. P1, it's okay. But the best McLaren for me on this list has to be the Adaptive Wing Beauty. The second best handling car on this game, in my opinion, would be the McLaren Senna. Why? Because it is, when you compare this thing to a Polo IE, it has less horsepower and a slower top speed. But that Adaptive Wing comes in clutch so much. Watch me catch up to this guy here. You know, foot down. I don't have to break round corners. That Adaptive Wing keeps you flat to the ground regardless of how fast you're going, and because of that, because this thing is so nimble, you can point it in any direction and it just turns. It's a fucking pocket rocket. It's a gorgeous car to drive. It looks the dog's bollocks. It sounds amazing, and that Adaptive Wing, the interior, it's a very nice place to be, to sit, and to also cruise in. But that Adaptive Wing, the way it moves like that, steals the show, and you can easily catch up to this guy in his Lycan Motorsport. See you later, mush. Nice driving. Moving on from McLaren, get smoked. Now, a few honourable mentions before we move on. The C63 AMG, an absolute demon in a straight line. Handling wise, it's not all there, but sounds amazing. The SL65 with that Adaptive Wing is fucking gorgeous. The interior is very nice, and it handles not that bad, but again, like most Mercedes on this list, don't handle great. But anyway, moving us on to my second favourite Mercedes, has to be the low-key demon, the E63 AMG 2013. Now, everything I love about this car. I love the interior. I love the heads-up display when it's telling you to change gear with the adaptive lights, so, you know, racing up from yellow to red to change gear. I love that. The interior, again, the gauges are beautiful. It's a nice place to be. And also, I've smoked quite a lot of cars in this, I can't lie. Those top mountain roads near Ambleside, racing through there, this thing, even though it's heavy, 3,372 pounds, 898 horses, so it does equal itself out. It pulls, boys. That 4th to 5th gear pull is orgasmic. The way this thing gears, the gear shifting sound on this is so aggressive, and that's what I love about the AMGs. The sound is so phenomenal. You know, compare that to the BMW 5 Series that we're looking at earlier, where the gear shifts aren't aggressive, it's just very monotone and light. Then you get into an E63 and it sounds like a fucking demon, and it's especially the E63, this one, it's a fucking monster. All black, I would most definitely have one of these in real life. I love them, they're an absolute demon. And it is a proper drop a gear, disappear street racing demon. Okay, last and most definitely not least on the Mercedes list. Now, what's my favourite Mercedes, boys? Is it the X-Class? Is it the GTS? No, boys. No, come on. You know me better than that. You know me better than that. There's a reason why this has a love heart, my friend. This, the best car they ever added to Forza Horizon 4. The Mercedes-Benz E63S 2018 model. Now, take the 2013 model, trim it down by a few £100, make it look sexier, and this is what you get. I don't have words for this. This car has a very special place in my heart. Would I rather have the 2018 M5 or an E63S? E63S any day of the week. Why? Style-wise, this thing looks the dog's bollocks. The interior is fucking awesome. The red light shifter telling you to downshift. How aggressive the interior is. I like how everything's in your face. The sound of this car. And also, 932 horsepower, 896 foot-pounds of torque. This thing is a fucking demon when you let it go. It pulls and pulls and pulls. That 6-gear pull just pulls it into the ground and it just flies. It goes and goes and goes. And if I had £120,000 in real life, because these things are fucking expensive, I would most definitely have one. It's one of my favourite cars in the game, and it's also one of my top 5 favourite cars in real life. They're ever timeless. Well, kind of brand new, 2018, not that long ago. E63S is a fucking demon, and I love it. Now, honourable mentions before I pick my favourite Porsche. Now, okay, Gt2 Rs, okay, all-wheel drive it though, it does handle like a compass. What I mean by that is it only goes one direction when you put your foot down. There's not a lot of manoeuvre for handling, so because of that, it's okay, but not great. 911 Turbo S is the reason why it has a love heart. Gorgeous car to drive. Effortless, sleek, elegant. Dials are a little bit too small, I feel like, when you're in cockpit camera, so for that reason it does peg itself down a few notches, but it is a fun car to drive and handles very, very well. And also very fast at 9.5 top speed and 912 horsepower for an absolute pocket rocket, and a 0 to 60 time of an absolute demon. You can't sleep on that. But my favourite Porsche on Forza Horizon 4 has to be the Nürburgring killer, the crusher, the destroyer of champions, the 911 GT2 RS. Now this with the Visac pack on it is an absolute monster in real life, and it's no exception in the game. Now I've all-wheel drive mine, 731 horses, so I've put a bit, I think I put 3 upgrades on it. I want to keep it as stock as I can because I don't want to take away from that raw handling potential that this thing has. The more horsepower you put on a car like this, the handling goes down the drain, so keep it for roughly 700 to 800 horses. Keep it at that nice car guy, you know, parameters where we can still have fun and also thrash it around the bend. Now, speaking of thrashing it around the bend, the 911 GT2 RS does that perfectly. And let's speak about this thing's interior. The interior, the black leather trim, whatever, you know, material this is, with the red Alcantara stitching, the yellow pinstripe in the middle. The dials are gorgeous. There's so much information coming at you. The red strut beam, everything, the carbon on this car, it is amazing. It's a great car to drive. It's arguably one of the best handling cars also when you all-wheel drive it in this game. Stop that rear-wheel drive spinning. We don't do that rear-wheel drive around here, my son. And because of that, because I love this thing, but would I rather have an Aventador or a 911 GT2 RS? You know what, boys? I think I would rather have a 911 Gt2 RS. I think as we age, we all kind of turn into Porsche fans. So, if I had £340,000, because that's how much they are in real life, aka $365,000, I think I might buy a 911 Gt2 RS. Why? Boys, it's a fucking weapon, that's why. Moving on. Bringing us to Volkswagen, and I've saved the best till last. Now, for those of you that know me, this is going to come in at no surprise. My overall favourite car on Forza Horizon 4, the car that ticks every box for me, for a car guy, for someone that likes to drop a gear, disappear, rag it round a street corner, lock it into second gear, watch that tyre smoke just flood out the rear view mirror. What car do I do that best in? What car do I smoke a lot of people in? What car can I escape from policing in this game? As you all know, it has to be the 2014 Golf R. Now, for those of you that don't know about this car, you're going to have to learn. This thing is a demon round street corners. Second gear, from third to second, instantly lock it in tight. Absolute rag it round the street corner. And because of that, and because I've smoked a lot of people in this car, I love it. It's a great car. It's a great car to drive. The interior's clean. I wish it was the 2016 Golf R so we could have flappy paddles on the steering wheel, but nevertheless, this thing is a road monster, and this is the exact spec I would have it in real life. Full black, 600 horse, 500 horsepower, something like that. You know, red stickers on the back saying Akrapovic, get those exhausts on it. You know, 500 horsepower sticker on the right hand side. If I'm ever lucky enough, fortunate enough to one day own a Golf R, this is how I'm going to spec it. Absolute demon. If you're a car guy, you have to rate the Golf R scene. In the UK is full of tiny little roads. We call them B roads. And on B roads, where you can't necessarily hit 140 plus miles an hour, where you need a lick and ding car, where you can drop a gear, rag it round a bend and gap cars silly, this is the perfect car for that. The Golf R. It's an absolute demon. It's a road demon, it is, boys. All-wheel drive, 573 horsepower. It's a fucking machine. It looks awesome. It looks like a demon. I love it. I'm a Golf R fan. I'm a Golf R bias. You might hate me for this. You might disagree with me for this. But this is okay. This is my opinion. And I love the Golf R. And I know a lot of you do too. But anyway, boys, that pretty much concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, do me a bloody favour. Give the video a like. Why? Because I'm going to get a Golf R one day. And the bloody YouTube videos would be, ooh, phenomenal. But anyway, Some of you are going to agree with me, some of you are going to disagree, but listen to my voice, listen to what I'm about to say. It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree. The thing that's brought you to my channel is our shared passion for 95 octane combustion engine, loud noises, drop a gear, disappearing antics, and the rest of it. You're a car guy, I'm a car guy. We hate on each other's cars, we love each other's cars, but the things that bring us back together is our passion for engineering, motorsport, and 95 octane, baby. So without further ado, say it with me. Drop a gear, disappear, keep your bank account fat, and boys, I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, have a fucking beautiful week.